Hi, Genevieve Jacobs from Region Media, and I'm at the Australian War Memorial ahead of something very special that's going to take place in early June, and that's the Vietnam Requiem. Chris Latham is with me. He's the director and also the artist in residence here at the Australian War Memorial, and John Schumann, whose song I Was Only 19, A Walk in the Light Green, was one of the truly transformational moments in our understanding of the journey from Vietnam. Chris, tell us what the Vietnam Requiem is. It forms part of a series of work that you've been doing about Australians' experiences at war. So just encapsulate this for me if you can.
It's a series of 7 requiems which we're giving to the nation, so it's called The Gift, and this is the third one in that series. 50 years later, we just want to tell the story of what happened to Australia in the Vietnam War.
So that includes lots of different perspectives. I've been lucky enough to see a preview, and you include the perspectives of Vietnamese people themselves, of boat people, of protesters, certainly of Australian soldiers, the men and boys who went. Tell me about the sort of scope of work that you're doing.
Well, we wanted to tell Australian stories, but we also wanted to tell New Zealand stories because of the travel bubble and also the fact that it was an Anzac deployment and the New Zealanders rarely get remembered. The important thing for me was also to talk about the aftermath of the war, and so very importantly to talk about what happened to the South Vietnamese, the Laotians and the Cambodians. Obviously the Khmer Rouge genocide is a terrible event, and we often don't actually realise it is all part of the same conflict. And we also wanted to tell the stories of the musicians who toured. There's 1,000 musicians who went there. There's a lot of journalists who went there, including 4 that were killed, and then after that the protesters in Australia.
Now, John, you weren't on tour in Vietnam. Little Patti, who appears in the show, was, but your song, I Was Only 19, was one of those extraordinarily important moments in our understanding of this really difficult, complicated conflict. Tell me about your thoughts 50 years on.
Well, I was immensely moved when I played in the... How do you describe it, Chris? The preview. To be perfectly frank, I thought it was going to be, I Was Only 19 and a few other songs and a bit of classical music, and I thought I'd look at my watch, hoping it was going to be over soon, but I was tremendously moved by it, tremendously captivated and tremendously moved. I think after 50 years we've come to realise that everybody involved in that awful conflict was brutalised by the whole thing, and I think Chris's work and the work of all the other artists involved will contribute to that sense of understanding and forgiving and healing.
Well, your own experience is that music can indeed change lives and change people's understanding, and that's the great story of I Was Only 19, the realisation that those who went to war were not to blame for a conflict that may have been misguided or misconceived or poorly prosecuted, but that these are ordinary human beings.
Yeah, we talk a lot about I Was Only 19, particularly in this place, but when I look back at it, down the retrospectoscope, I think that I Was Only 19 provided an I get it moment for Australia. We are fundamentally fair and decent and compassionate, and I think that Vietnam veterans particularly came home to a bitterly divided society. We didn't understand, but we respond best to stories. 19 is a story, 4 minutes 19 seconds, and I think it enabled us all to stop, look and listen and peer over the back fence into the life of the Vietnam veteran next door and realise that we really didn't do the right thing by those people. So I'm really proud that I Was Only 19 played a small part in that national healing.
Yeah, and of course the words from I Was Only 19 are quoted in part down on the Vietnam War Memorial, which is just down Anzac Parade from where we stand now. Chris, talk to us about the musical shape of all of this. You've got some marvellous Australian composers, Elena Katz-Chernin, Graham Kerner. Tell me about how you've conceived of this musically.
Well, we wanted to include every form of music that existed during the Vietnam War. So we have rock musicians, pop musicians, jazz musicians, world musicians, notational musicians, which might be called classical musicians, but are doing very different music. The orchestra has a rock band in it, so it's a very different kind of piece than the work I've done on World War I, for example. And the main thing is just to try to be very complete, to try to tell all the stories fairly and make a musical representation of everyone's experience.
Well, and it powerfully moving. I've seen a little snippet of it, a capsule of it, and it was just the most magnificent thing, complete with film footage, with real visual references that many people who are alive at the time or have seen it since would recognise. So tell us the details. When, where, how do people get involved?
So the tickets are through Ticketek. The concerts are from 1 to 4 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday, June 4th and 5th. And basically it's a 3-hour concert. I say that it's Woodstock for old people. It's an absolutely epic endeavour.
Chris, we really look forward to it, and Region Media is very proud to be a media partner in this, I think, very important and very healing endeavour. Thank you so much for your time. John, great to talk to you again too. Good luck. I'm Genevieve Jacobs. This is Region Media.